O Jah, Rastafari, O divine heavenly Father, and divine earthly Mother, and divine child of creation, within us and all around us, thank you for hearing our prayers.
Jah Levi is a roots reggae music ambassador dedicated to facilitating change and transformation, spreading a message of love and unity for all beings.
Praying to the Father to guide I and I, to guide I and I.
Jah Levi. Would you mind explaining Jah Levi?
Jah Levi was a name that I received through a personal revelation at a time in my life when I was going through a lot of conflict and chaos, growing up in the inner city. And I made a decision at a certain point, and I had my personal revelation where I met my Maker, and my Maker gave me that name. And the name means, in Hebrew, he who unifies the people in the name of God. My job title, which is a title that I believe you're familiar with, is change agent.
Yes.
And I thought a long time about that, because people all the time would ask me, who is Jah Levi and what do you do? And I'd go into a long spiel about all the things that I do, because I do many things. But my passion is around service to humanity and facilitating change and transformation and healing. And there's many, many different ways that can be put into practice. You know, for me, I'm involved in production and all aspects of music and healing and many other things too. But I found change agent to be the most descriptive of who I am and what I do.
It's been a lot of quality spiritual change agents in history.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another word that we use for change agent called destiny reservist. And those souls that can move out first and be the pioneers, change agents, can help make others change agents.
Mm-hmm.
And when there's enough of them, maybe we can make a dent in this fallen world.
I'd like to feel like we are making a dent in our small way. And these little dents become bigger dents when we all come together.
Yeah. We believe, and a lot of others believe, in the spiritual realm. We're moving into the fourth dimension and then the fifth. But the third dimension, or Babylon, definitely tries to distract us from our higher destinies in God. And everything, our education system, media, corporations, all that exist to keep us from God and from our destiny. Mm-hmm. So we're not taught when we were in grade school by the counselors to grow up and be a spiritual leader, or to grow up to be a server of mankind. We're taught to go into real estate and, to be an attorney and make a lot of money, or in other fields that have nothing to do with serving each other and being our brothers and sisters' keeper. Mm-hmm. So I like that a lot of people who follow your teachings and in your music call you Father. And they do with me too. And I think that's a beautiful concept, because we have to go above being just a brother to our people, friends, family. We do have to be father figures. Mm-hmm. And one of the problems in this world today is there isn't a heck of a lot of good, real, balanced father figures. Mm-hmm. And certainly not a lot of spiritual ones that have gotten away from the system.
Mm-hmm. I had a lot of anger as a child, and part of my journey was how to realize that all of these feelings and emotions are energy. They're raw energy, and to me, I realized energy is useful. All energy is useful. You just have to learn how to transmute it and turn it into something creative. So a lot of my music, even though it's all about peace and love and healing and transformation and spirituality, all of those songs I wrote when I was very angry. And that's my practice, you know, that's the way that I transmute and deal with that anger. Right. And I consider that anger useful. It's just a matter of how to put it in a form that is nurturing. So it has to go through a whole process, and that process is really internal for me. It's sitting down and spending a lot of time really contemplating and going deep inside and seeing where that energy comes from, and not taking anything personally, you know, because that's what I realize a lot of where that anger comes from. It comes from taking things personally, and maybe they were meant personally, but I don't have to take it that way. That's what I realized.
Yeah. Well, concerning the music business, you know, when you grow up, you believe that there are good people out there that want to do the right thing, you know. As you get older, you find out that that's not the case, and particularly when those record executives that you're talking about in those companies, they could do the right thing. They could get the real message out there. They can get the higher messages out there, and they just don't do it.
Well, they come from the consciousness of short-term gain opportunism. So if they can exploit you and make money on it, they will. In fact, that's their job.
Yep.
And if they don't do that, they get fired.
Yeah.
So that's a job criteria for them. You just have to understand that in a way.
Yeah.
And for people like us and the kind of music that we're involved in, we don't really need the major labels anymore. And we're making a really strong statement by not doing that, I feel. So it's a good thing. In a way, the major labels really don't like what people like us are doing. And for good reason, too, because, yeah, we sell records, too.
Yes.
Currently, the music business, and it's been this way for some time, it's very controlled. And when I was coming up with my music, initially I shopped my music to all the major record labels, and many of them said, well, your music is really good and we really like it, but it's too spiritual and we don't think that anyone is going to buy it. So I decided to start my own record label, Theocratic Records.
Theocratic Records.
And I produced my 23 albums on Theocratic Records, and it was very difficult because at that time there were not independent record labels. There were very, very few of them, and it wasn't very popular either. A lot of radio stations would not play the music. In fact, it seemed like a lot of the major labels would even not only pay the radio stations to play their music, but also pay them not to play the music of independents. So really the odds were against you as an independent in those days. Now things are different because independent labels are in vogue, and there are radio stations that specialize in that. So in a way, it's a lot easier now than it's ever been before. So I think there's a whole revolution that's happening in the music industry, but it's still very controlled, and there's still a lot of payola that goes on and a lot of control in the business. Yesterday we were talking about Clear Channel and how they have control over a lot of the media. And so we're contending with that, and that's something that didn't really exist at that time, or at least not in such an obvious way. So I think that things are really changing rapidly now in the music business.